My name is Skylar Dioli, and I'd like to introduce you to what the Peabody Individual Achievement Test. So what is the Peabody Individual Achievement Test outside of a mouthful? The test is an individual test of academic progress. So it is just each individual's levels of different age knowledge compared to everyone else. This is used for grades kindergarten through 12th grade, so it allows all grade levels and all ages within that age group to be measured. This compares same age peers in the content of general knowledge, math, reading recognition, reading comprehension, spelling, and writing. So where did it come from? The history of it. It was published in 1970, and this was known as the Peabody Individual Achievement Test. It was later revised in 1989 when there was a census that went on, and they realized that they needed to change age groups and slight differences in it. So this revised version became the Peabody Individual Achievement Test Revised. Later in 1996, they wanted to re-standardize everything, and so they made a new version of the Peabody Achievement Test, entitled it the Peabody Individual Achievement Test Revised Normative Update. And outside of just being a mouthful, it allowed ages 5 through 22 to be measured. So again, kindergarten through 12th grade, which is roughly 18. But this version of the test also allowed for students who were in 2 years of college to 4 years of college and other non-students to be assessed as well. The testing format. So the Peabody Individual Achievement Test Revised Normative Update, which is the current version that we use, is not timed and uses a flipbook. This test, however, does not require calculators, pens, and pencils throughout it. The only part it does need a pencil for, or a pen, is the written expression subtest. Outside that, most questions require just the student to point. There's multiple choices and verbal cues. So there are 6 sections to this test. Each section progresses in this order that I'm about to give you. So the first section is general information, and this is 100 verbal items assessing their general knowledge. The second section is reading recognition, and this is 100 items measuring recognition of printed letters and ability to read words out loud. The third section that there is reading comprehension. It involves 100 items again, measuring reading comprehension of the individual student. The next section is mathematics. This has 100 multiple choice items to test the knowledge and application of mathematical concepts and facts of each student. The spelling section is the next one, and it doesn't require the students to actually spell a word. What it has is 100 multiple choice items measuring the recognition of correct spelling words. So there's multiple choice items, and each student has to be able to recognize which of the words is spelled correctly. They don't actually have to spell it out by themselves. And then the last section is the written expression. This is done in 2 different ways. So it assesses 2 levels of language skills. The first level is just for kindergarten and first grade, and it measures pre-writing. The second section is level 2, and it measures 2nd grade through 12th grade. And these students write a story about a picture. So they're given a picture and they have to write a story about it. The scoring of the test. So it provides 9 different scores for this entire test. So there's 6 scores for each individual subtest. There's a total test score, which involves all those subtests together. There's just a score for written language, where it's a combination of the spelling and the written expression. And there's also a score for the total reading, and this is a combination of reading recognition and reading comprehension. So from one test, you can get 9 different scores and be able to focus your knowledge on each individual thing. The uses of this. So it actually can be a very useful tool. It allows for any individual evaluator to make decisions based on the results of an individual area. So an example of this would be, say there's a student who's struggling in reading comprehension and doesn't score very well on reading comprehension on the test. So the student can now get additional time with a reading specialist, or the teacher can now focus their knowledge on kind of giving extra support or extra scaffolding for that student in reading comprehension so they can again come up to grade level. The great thing about this test is it's for students that are below grade level, and it helps you focus your assessments and what you want to, your strategies, your plan of actions to bring up those students to grade level. It's very useful for special education and child therapists. Again, because you can use a set plan of action to bring these students up. So you know the students failing in reading comprehension or spelling or mathematics. You know where they're at and you know how to bring them up. So there are, however, limitations to this, despite it having some advantages as well. A big limitation of this is that the diagnostic potential of it is kind of off because it's such a small sample of questions in each individual skill. So in the math area, they'll have 7 questions for just a certain math topic and then another 7 questions for another math topic. So that certain skill area in there is such limited, and then on top of that, only having 100 questions total is still considered a small sample size, considered it's a large test and such a large concept. Outside of math, it may not offer an accurate statement of each student's academic potential in each area. So this test tends to tell you where the student is failing in or where they're having troubles, but it doesn't actually give you too much information on where their potential in each area is. Because just on such a small sample, a few individual questions that were missed, say the student had a bad day or something like that, they're not actually getting the accurate representation, being able to filter that out to be able to show where the student actually has the best potential in all their things. Another limitation of this is that it is on a national level that it is scored. So being national, it compares every student who takes the test against every student anywhere else. This makes it a problem because from state to state, even from district to district, the curriculums change. So being such a large scoring system, it's hard to pinpoint individual problems that are in each different curriculum that's from district to district or state to state. So you're kind of having problems in where to update the entire academic curriculum. Another problem with this is the costs. It is actually a rather expensive test. So one complete kit includes 50 individual test records, and this costs $475. On top of that, you need an instruction manual that is used by an administrator, which is $175. So that adds up, especially if you want to do each grade level. So if a school district wants to do K through 12 of just this test, they have to purchase kits by 50 individual tests at a time, and you have to have administrators for it, so that's $175 an administrator, and it adds up per student and per grade level. So it becomes quite costly for a school if they want to do each individual grade level. It also becomes costly for parents, because if a parent wants their student tested on this, which they can ask for, they can try to go out there and find help to get their student tested for this, it then becomes costly just for them on an individual basis, which is another problem. This is what the Peabody Individual Achievement Test is. It is a large test that can have a lot of positives, but it also has a few limitations to it. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to watching everybody else's.